Good morning, evening, afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark.
And I'm Zoe.
And we are the Board Adventurers. We're back to you today with another Late to the Game. Today we are going to be looking at Cryptid.
And Cryptid is designed by Hal Duncan and Ruth Vivers and published by Osprey Games. So the game arc of Cryptid is, this is a deduction style game. So in Cryptid, you're going to start off by drawing a card. This card is going to tell the players in the game how to build the board, which are these pieces. You're going to connect them together, so it's going to be unique for each game. And on the back of that same card, you're going to get a number. That number is going to tell you what clue each player is going to have in these booklets. Each player is going to have a unique booklet, and it's going to be a combination of around 100 unique clues. So each player is going to have one clue. If you connect all those clues together, it's going to signify one specific space on the board. That space on the board is where the cryptid is going to be. Now, each player has their own clue, but they're not going to know what the other player's clues are. And that's very important in Cryptid, so that's part of the game arc. As you're going to be on the board, you're going to select the spot on the board. You're going to put a piece there, which I believe is you're going to put a piece there and say, is this where the cryptid is? You're going to ask a specific player at the table that question. That player is going to consult their rule that their clue that they have, and if that spot matches their clue, they're going to put a cylinder signifying that the cryptid can be there based off of their clue. If it can't, they're going to put a cube saying that based off their clue, the cryptid is not there. And you're going to go around the table asking each other whether or not a space on the board can have a cryptid or not until a player can deduce what everyone's clue is and ask everyone whether or not the cryptid can be there. And if the cryptid is there based off everyone's clue, that person is the winner of the game. Right? So that's the game arc of Cryptid. What do you think of the game?
Cryptid's a good game. It's got very simple choices. You're doing one of two things when you start the game. Is you're asking somebody, hey, do you think it's here? Or you're going to solve where the cryptid is, right?
Yeah.
Then the choices are simple too. Does my one criteria fit that scenario, or does it not?
Yeah.
And the beauty of this game is really coming down to kind of like almost triangulating where all the points can match. Because these pieces, when you look at some of these like board pieces, they're not like evenly located. So whenever you have them, you could have them flipped. You could have possibly all the water like on one side, but the cryptid can only be like 3 spaces away from a water, so it can't be like say over here.
Yeah.
Or 2 spaces, so it can't be over here. But then you add in other things, like you have bear dens, I believe, and you have like some other, I think a wolf den or something.
Yeah, so we should say that there is almost like 100 different variations of clues in here. They can be as simple as the cryptid can't be on a space of the water, or it could be like exactly 2 spaces away from a water,
right?
Or like between a water and sand. It's very unique combination of type of clues,
right?
So we should add that there for clarification on the type of clues that players are going to have,
right?
Which adds to the uniqueness of the board, as these cards, as we said before, going to tell you what type of board that you're going to be creating,
right?
And it's going to be unique per each game.
Yeah. And like Cryptid even gives you like cards of different varying difficulties. So like I believe the easier cards in the game, they only tell you like positive locations for where the cryptid is. Like it is on a desert, or it's in a swamp, or it's on a forest.
Yeah.
But then when you get to like the cards that are a little more advanced, which I believe are like they have a different background on the card. They can flip, so now you have the possibility of having not on the card.
Yeah.
So that adds like almost double the amount of clues that can be in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's great because like sometimes you'll like this is a brain burner kind of game, I
100%.
think. Yeah, because it's deceptively simple in that all you're doing is asking a question. But then when you're trying to find out someone else's like clue, you like your brain goes into like almost hardwire mode. Because you're trying to figure out, okay, they put a circle there. Does that mean that it's in a forest? Or that it was within 2 of that bear den?
Yeah.
Or if it's because it's next. So there's these things called structures too. So they give you structures of different colors and of different shapes.
Yes.
So sometimes it might be within 3 of, like, say, a triangle structure, or 3 of a cylinder structure. But then that kind of like adds into like, well, it could be the location, it could be the vicinity of where it is. So it adds a lot to the game, and it makes you like almost like lose your mind trying to keep track of these things.
Yeah, what this game does that's clever from a lot of deduction style games that it's borrowing sort of its mechanics from is a lot of deduction style games give you like a pamphlet where you can keep track of things. This game doesn't. This game is asking you to look at the board and look at the cubes and cylinders that are out there, showing kind of where the cryptid can and can't be, and kind of mentally deduce that.
Right.
Which is what makes it a brain burner, because you're looking at that and going like, okay, Mark may not be within 2 spaces of cougar territory.
Oh, it's cougar, right?
Yeah,
Cougar.
and then you kind of go like, oh crap. No, it's not. It has to be another clue because that piece is there. You kind of like have to keep surveying the board at all times.
Right.
And the more players that are in the game, the more brain burner it's going to be, because you're trying to deduce what type of clue out of the 100 Mark has, and then trying to eliminate the possibilities from another player on the board.
Right.
Based off what you see. That's kind of what the brain burner is.
Yeah.
And for me, Cryptid is kind of like, it's deduction at its most simplest form.
Yeah.
It's kind of eliminating the theme, and it's kind of going like, you're trying to find out the clues that everyone has.
Right.
That's
kind
the
of,
game.
Yeah, exactly. But it does feel like you're almost like hunting something down though through like location wise, because it's like, oh, it's not within a forest, so I know like, okay, I'm coming through this way instead, and I see like, okay, there's a forest on this board.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, does that pertain to my clue, which is within like say 2 of a cougar? So I'm like, no, I don't have cougars near this forest, so it has to be the other one. So like it's a lot of things where it's like you're trying to juggle remembering everyone else's information in your head from what you're trying to posit out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's definitely it's definitely a lot of crunchy information that it gets, and like this is a game that you can play like within almost like 30 minutes.
Yeah,
and then
100%.
just keep repeating, however long you want to keep playing.
Yeah, and this game reminds me of, and we talked about this game in the previous video, Mystery of the Abbey. This game is kind of like a natural progression of what Mystery of the Abbey kind of started in terms of that asking a clue mechanic.
Yeah,
Right?
because like there's also that thing where it tries to balance it out, because I believe once you ask somebody and they give you a cylinder, like circular location, you have to put out a square, because like it's kind of like almost like a trade of information. You have to say where this place cannot be, because knowing where a place can be is pretty big information. If it's like, oh, now you know, like, a little point where like it could possibly be. Yeah, that's real. Like, yeah, that's kind of like slightly the beauty of it, and like the hard thing, because sometimes you don't want to know where something might be, because then you have to give a place where it can't be.
Yeah.
So you're giving your opponent information too.
Yeah.
With that.
Now, would you recommend this game to someone who's never played a deduction game before?
I would think so. Like, to me, this is easy enough to pick up. The only issue I might have is that this person might be so overwhelmed with the pieces of information that everyone has that they might like totally freeze on the board.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, because I wouldn't consider this game a heavy game by any stretch of the imagination, because you're really only doing 2 things in the game.
Right.
But it's such a brain burner that I don't know if I would recommend this for someone who's never played a deduction style game before. Because for us, we've played a lot of deduction style games. Yeah. And this is a brain burner for us. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's kind of hard to recommend this for someone who's never played a deduction style game.
Right.
Even though I think I can't speak for you, but I'll say I would rank this game pretty highly.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't know if I would recommend this like.
Yeah. Okay. I think you have a good point. I think you got to feel out the person that is maybe you're trying to introduce.
Yeah.
If they like this idea of like almost like calibrating, a certain location. If they like think very almost like if they can juggle a lot of things in their mind very well.
Yeah.
This would be a good one maybe for them to just as a first time play. But maybe it could be a little too big a jump for someone that maybe like has a lot of they feel a lot of pressure whenever they have to make like a certain decision.
Yeah.
And then when there's a lot of things coming in on them, it's like it just feels like a lot.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
So in terms of a buy, play, or skip altogether, where does this rank for you?
I think Cryptid's a solid play. There's a lot of good like little pieces in Cryptid that will keep you almost playing this game maybe like 3 or 4 straight times. Yeah. I think like when you play Cryptid, you're not going to play just once. You're going to sit this down, you're going to set it up, you're going to go through 3 or 4 of these at a time, and then you're going to pack it up, and then you're going to come back another day, and you're going to play another 4. This is like a simple game, but it has a lot of crunch in it, and that's why it'll come out more often. I would be hesitant to say it's a buy, just because like if you are so into this game, you might be able to run through the deck super fast. I know we haven't gone through this deck yet.
Yeah.
But if you play this a lot, and you might be able to memorize, you probably can't memorize, but like it wouldn't be enough for me to say you should buy it, but it's definitely a very solid play.
Yeah, for me, I'd say this is a buy teetering on play. And I'm adding a caveat here. If you like deduction style games, I feel like this is a must-have deduction game.
Okay.
I think if you're into that genre, I'm into that genre. So if you're into that kind of genre, I think this is one of those games that is kind of like the top echelon of deduction style games.
Right.
I do think it's very much a brain burner, so it's not going to be for everyone. It's one of those. I can see someone being exhausted by a play of this game and not even want to play not only this game, but probably not want to play board games for a while, take like a break.
Right.
Because it's going to like, you might have a headache at the end of this game.
Yeah, it is surprising how much your brain kind of processes in the amount of time like this game goes for half an hour.
Yeah.
By the end, you just kind of feel a little bit mentally exhausted by the end of this game.
Yeah. But if you're into that deduction style, you're into deducing what everyone at the table has, this is a must-have in terms of that genre.
Yeah.
Cool. So that is our late to the game review of Cryptid. I'm Zoe.
I'm Mark.
See you on the next video.
Yeah.